The President of Ghana Union of Traders Association, Guta, Mr. Joseph Obeng, has urged government and other policy formulators to create the enabling environment needed for businessmen and women to have affordable credit to do business in Ghana. Mr. Joseph Obeng made this statement at the Financial Economics Seminar held in Accra. The seminar drew the industry players together, some of which are Guta, Chambers of Commerce, Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, and civil society organizations.
That are very productive to bring the economy to the level that we're all looking for, very appreciative level. And so we need to identify people and grow them. Elsewhere in other countries like South Africa, they could give a lot of money to a few people, probably from the university, and train them. Now we have the people coming out every year from the university. Those who read.
Sheila Sechi Obeng, a private legal practitioner who took part in the forum, urged government and policy formulators to get everybody involved in putting up tax policies. She said such forums and seminars will go a long way for government and stakeholders to bring out new thoughts and innovations to help the state of development in Ghana.
Improve doing business in Ghana, and it's not just that policy shouldn't be a top-bottom approach. It should be more of a 360 approach. It should be an approach that looks at the people, the recipients, or those who the policy is meant to help, and those making the policies, and why they're making the policies, and why those who, or the business community, also need those policies in place. So it has to be a collaborative affair with all stakeholders engaging and participating effectively, so that we bring out the very best that we can. And I think if something isn't working, there's nothing wrong with going back to the drawing board to make sure that we get it working in a way that is meaningful and is able to fulfill the purpose for which it was made in the first place. More of these platforms that would enable people to engage, in this manner, and express their opinions, discuss issues, bring out new thoughts, and help all of us be innovative in how we want to see our country develop. I think it's very, very important for national development to increasingly have these kinds of forums and these discussions going. And more importantly, we need to put action to what we say. So we hope that going forward, the captains of industry were here. You had Guta and the Chamber of Commerce, that they'd also organize themselves in a way that enables them to participate more purposefully and impactfully.
The Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Stephen Amwa, in his interaction with Nation One TV, admonished Ghanaians to cooperate in the payment of taxes. He said the country can grow when the government is able to collect realistic taxes and reduce borrowing. This, he said, will give the country fiscal space and reduce debt to GDP.
Because you cannot run any country in the world without taking realistic taxes. Because we use taxes to run the country. Our programs and projects, governments either use domestically generated revenues or borrow from somewhere, take loans. And when you take too much loans, you destroy your fiscal space. Your debt to GDP is likely to go up, and a lot of economic activities may be impaired. Just as post-COVID, what is happening to Ghana, and we are all not happy. So the best way to go is to make sure that, one, we actually collect the needed taxes that we need as a country. Two, we need to work on the leakages in our tax systems, corruption, all stakeholders involved, we need to have critical look at what is going on, review the processes and the framework. 3, as you're asking me, Ghanaians should begin to cooperate with all governments, because I think where the problem emanated from was when MPP is in power and they are coming out with tax or increasing it, NDC will rise up, they will resist, and the public will follow. When NDC in power and they are coming out with taxes or increasing it, MPP will rise, they will resist, and the public will follow. So because of these political conflicts or interest, we are not as a country able to generate enough resources or funds domestically to fund our programs, and we are compelled to take loans. So we just want to educate Ghanaians that these things, it's like they have this in local dialect, that Maria. So we want to begin to work on our consciences and our minds to really deal with this populist or propaganda usage by both MPP and DC when one is in government or opposition, and deal with realities and know that as a country, let us help build this country. And one thing that one of the speakers also raised, that we need to also communicate to the public, that we the politicians and those other stakeholders who have the discretion or whatever, the mandate to manage the taxes we collect, we should put to good use, efficient usage of state funds. Effective usage, so that Ghanaians will also see that when I pay my tax, I see something credible, tangible from what I've paid, and that I'll be motivated and encouraged to pay more. So I think this is what we are putting across, and I deem that extremely important, that we need to emphasize that we need to pay our taxes. The taxes have to be put to good use. We should avoid the use of politics when there is the need to increase or decrease taxes, so that as a country we can be economically independent.
With all that you're saying, I've seen massive commitment from government to at least, since you're also a legislator, to at least making sure that these are the realities.
It depends on your definition of the massive. It's subjective. I think we need to do more as a government. I think we need to do more. I think as a country we need to do more. And all the actors along the critical activity path of, tax management in our country should also renew their minds, revolutionize their mindset, and deal away with antisocial behaviors that are dysfunctional to the performance of our country through tax leakages and stealing and corruption and all those things. We are tired. We are tired of borrowing and depending on somebody's economy. That when they are in trouble, we have to be in trouble. It is time we were independent economically. I'm sure if we do that, it will help us as a country. Legal and then the policy mandate to bring them together. But what we are doing now, some MPs came, it's all over social media, go and check. About 100,000, it was on live. I'm sure politicians, whether NDC, MPP, they will listen. It will be in the news. This is something I'm expecting front pages, because it will talk to other people. And I'm sure some of them might have been probably informed to the level that they will work on their mindset, because Ghana cannot continue to be where we are. And we will have to change our mindset. I think it's fair.
Speaking to the media, Mr. Joseph Obeng asserted that consideration should be made when policies are being formulated for business people, especially on tax collection. He pleaded with government to reverse the 3 new tax bills which was assented by the president. He described these taxes as counterproductive to business growth in the country.
Panelists have said that we have to identify giants so that we support them. I do not agree to that. We have to create the necessary enabling environment so that giants will emerge out of it. That's how it works. That we create the enabling environment where we can have access to affordable credit. Businesses thrive on affordability of our credit. That it should not be said that assessing credit, our credits are overpriced, and that we are not competitive to the rest of the world. This time we do not do business in isolation. We do business with the rest of the world. So if you are formulating a policy in your country and you do not factor what happens in your neighboring countries, it means that you are out of competition. And this is exactly what I was trying to drum home about, that we have to make taxes affordable. We've talked so many times that tax to GDP in our neighboring countries is far higher than that of Ghana. Why is this so? It's so because their taxes are fewer and then affordable as well. Ours is so many. So because their taxes are affordable, compliance level in those countries that we're talking about are so high that have made the tax to GDPs in these countries far higher than that of Ghana. And so it is very important for authorities to know, sit down with us again, evaluate things, dissect things, and then make cost of doing business very attractive here in this country. Yeah, it's not that we haven't done that before. You remember that when we were introducing the paperless regime, we had to sit down, all of us, the stakeholders, with the economic management team, and then we had to prune down on these costs. At that time, it numbered up to about 19. We were able to prune them down to about 12, and now they've creeped back, because at the port is where the easiest way to get some of these taxes and revenues that government so badly seek. We've made our point very clear through the Joint Consultative Forum, for which I'm the coordinator, to government that they have to also revisit the issue of these taxes, because it is not in the interest of IMF itself to see that businesses collapse, and that we believe that even when the IMF deal is through, we can still engage with IMF to the extent that they will, I believe they will understand, so that we can factor in our media budget review, so that businesses can have the respite. These taxes are counterproductive. It's not going to help the state and the state's quest to industrialize.
Is that one of
at
your
all.
expectations, that you'll see a reversal of this particular taxes in the budget?
Well, most times, especially these few months or years, you will see that government have been adamant on some of these things, probably because government found itself in a very difficult situation. So matters we believe that government will have to do something about it. Sometimes you also have your doubt because of the conditions that we find ourselves in, but we will still pursue so that we'll get some results.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Nation One TV. Kindly subscribe for more news updates.